Good evening, everybody. Hi, welcome. I'm Tony,
Hi, good evening. Great to be here with all of you. I'm Mary.
and welcome to your Q&A event. Well, it's a general Q&A event, but it's specifically we're here to answer questions about your experience in Kabbalah Revealed 1 and 2. To respond to things that may be confusing to you, or things that you'd like straightened out, or you'd like to go a little deeper into them. And but tonight it's not only students and friends from CobU. It's also people who have joined us in different platforms, including Facebook and YouTube, and people who have studied with us in other forms. Everybody's welcome, and of course, we're going to be very happy to answer the general questions that you might have about Kabbalah, whether you know much about it or not, or whether you think you know a lot about it or not. It doesn't matter. Uh, we're here to answer these questions for you. Now, to our friends on Zoom, seeing your faces is not only an inspiration to us, it's really an inspiration and a support to all of the friends who are with you. So what I'm really asking that everybody turn on their cameras, let's see those faces, let's see the responses, let's really be able to feel each other. Because even though we're sort of watching from our rooms and behind our screens, we're really watching together. We're always together. Kabbalah is about how we are always together. In other words, how are we connected? And how do we want to be connected? How do we need to be connected to change the way that we perceive, to change the quality of the world that we live in personally, but more importantly, the quality of the world itself that everybody else lives in? Because the perception of higher awareness comes through connection. And this is something that most of humanity doesn't truly understand. We feel where goodness comes from. We have a sense that connection makes us happy, but we don't really know and feel just how profound, how all-encompassing this really is. So please, I'm asking you again, I see your names. They're lovely names, but what would be beautiful would be faces, smiles, people getting a sense of where you are, your room, how you feel about things. So please turn your cameras on. In your course that you've completed, or you've been studying and you've completed, we've dealt with a lot of concepts. We've tried to open for you and make accessible things that people need to not just know, but they need to unlearn from the way that we normally approach our experience, our path, our purpose in life. And some of them may seem familiar, and some of them are actually quite challenging, quite different. In the end, the place that our perception comes to is very, very different than our starting point. So what are the things that you've been learning about? And this will also be a help to the friends people that are joining us on Facebook and YouTube, for them to understand some of what you've already learned, what you're delving into, what you're benefiting from. So of course you may have questions about the history of things, how Kabbalah revealed, what its original source is, who how it was derived, who it's aimed at, who it's for, and what it's for. So questions about the history of Kabbalah are totally welcome. We deal a lot, and you've learned a lot about the perception of reality and how it truly is dependent on, first, having a very strong definition of what spirituality is. This, of course, is the great strength of Kabbalah, the specificity, the directness of the of the definitions that in other places and on other paths are vague. So specifically, the definition of spirituality you have learned is the quality that we call bestowal, but it's much more profound than that. The bestowal, or ashpa'ah, in Hebrew really means influence. It is the directing force behind the entire system. It is a quality that is felt in humans as giving. But it's not just giving. It's a kind of a very deep concern, a pure concern that never changes in its purpose. And that, understanding that, and then understanding how our desire and the difference between us and that quality of spirituality, that's a very important thing. So what you have also learned is that our basic quality, the quality that we call creation, we understand that our starting point was to be created in an opposite form, that is, as a will to receive rather than a will to bestow. And you've learned how that happened from the beginning, before the Big Bang, and how it folded down this less and less of a quality of bestowal, more and more of a quality of self-concern, actually built the material world, the material universe, and brought us to the point at the bottom of that cascade, in which we now find ourselves at the halfway point of creation, about to learn consciously how to align with this force that we call spirituality, and what we need to do in order to sense that. We also learned what keeps our perception out of the spiritual world, that there's a program that runs us. It's a program of self-concern that interprets and changes everything that we see and feel through all of the sensors that we have, and turns everything into, it codes it into something else, which makes us not see reality. It codes it into a form that serves the intention that we have. In other words, we're run by a program that we might call, in psychology you might call it egoism, but it's a self-concern and a sensation of separation as a fundamental belief in saying that there is some place that I know where I end and you begin, and there's a vast space between us, and my concern for others ends at my skin, in a sense. And you have been learning aspects of a method that gets us beyond just thinking about that we should be good, more sensitive people, and gives us a technique in order to actually function in exactly the same way that spirituality does. We also learned that if we want to attain this, our inner nature has to change through a law called equivalence of form to be able to enter a spiritual space. In other words, we learned that while I may go like this and seem sort of close to Mary, that doesn't happen in spirituality unless Mary and I have exactly the same intention, where we're as distant from each other as one galaxy from another. And the way in which we change our perception and enter into the spiritual reality, you have learned in this course, or you will learn in the next part of the course that you're taking, that we have to reach an equivalency. We have to have the same vibration, so to speak, the same inner quality, the same purpose, the same desire, the same meaning. And that opens the door, that opens for us a door into the spiritual world and to each step of ascent in the spiritual world. And fundamentally, you know that Kabbalah is about direct experience. It's not about belief. It's a science. And there's a methodology to it. And there are many concepts that we have covered together. I covered it on tape, speaking to you, on a tape. And you've worked interactively with a lot of the concepts. And you've formed your own sense of it, And I hope that some of those things have really created problems and questions for you, because the need that a person feels in relation to spiritual objects, to things in the spiritual world, are an absolute necessity. Because this process of learning spiritual qualities has to do with desire, with a lack, with a need. And you can say that that need is a question, it's a hunger. It's something that we need to, has to be an absolute need for us. Something that can't be an idea, but has to create a kind of a hunger specifically for the right thing, because we're directed that way by nature. And finally, the other fundamental thing that you've studied is that nature works with us, so to speak, both with a right hand and a left hand. That is, it attracts us and it pushes us away, and it does this purposefully, especially for somebody who is on a spiritual path. This pushing away and this beckoning is extremely important because it causes a specific need to grow in us. So, from all of those things that you've studied, we'd love to hear any of the questions that have come up for you, and of course we'll be taking questions not only from students but from in the chat on Facebook and on YouTube. So let's get started, Mary. Do we have questions already?
Oh, a number of them, all excellent questions. Let's start out with Levi Valuarisi, tuning in on YouTube. What are we here for? What are we existing? Are we just existing? And how do we cope?
That question is the question that allows us to begin to understand the purpose and meaning of our life. There's a structure, a pattern of life that starts on the intentional level prior to the Big Bang. And this intentional seed, which incorporates the meaning of your life, the purpose of your existence, and the final outcome and target of life, that seed that impels everything in reality as it unfolds and as you feel it, and all those things that we feel as internal and external in our experience, all of that is there for a single purpose, and that is that we emerged out of this pure influence, this pure will to bestow, the intelligence behind existence, this sort of thing beyond time that wishes to create an experience for us, create a creature, and bring that creature to the ultimate fulfillment. And the ultimate fulfillment is not the things that we think in our normal awareness and in our normal hungers. It's trying to guide us, and is ultimately guiding us, to desire to be able to do what it can do. That is, to create and fulfill and serve all of existence. To become a part of the quality and mechanism of nature, to have the same heart, sensation, love, and caring, and interconnectedness of all of the things that we see that seem to be separate from us. And to come to this ultimate ability means a type of, a kind of fulfillment and joy that is unimaginable in our separated experience. But the fact that we're separated and that we have this longing to understand is what motivates us to even begin to ask that question that you asked in a serious manner. I know you mean exactly what you say. You really want to know that. When you really want to know that, you really can receive an answer. And the way that we cope with it is to learn how nature deals with us. How does it work? Why does it do what it does? How are all these things that we think of as good and bad actually good? How are all these things that we think of as good and evil good? How are the things that that are ugly and beautiful, all beautiful. Imagine an awareness and a world in which what you feel is an ecstatic joy of connection with everything. That's the purpose of our lives, to learn to want and to eventually reach that place. And everything in life, by nature, is designed to take us there.
Okay, beautiful. Another related question along the same lines is when we view things as beautiful or ugly, how do a Kabbalist's thoughts vary in an average day, vary to those of the average person? So again, how do a Kabbalist's thoughts vary on an average day compared to those of the average person?
Well, a Kabbalist is always attempting to understand, to feel how, whether or not they are connected, seeking out the well-being of others, and how far they are from the quality, the spiritual quality. They're constantly looking for the difference between their current state and where nature, we call it the creator, the general law of the universe, is attempting to take us. And we sense, a Kabbalist senses this by feeling the distance between it, by trying to understand is the wrong word, to grasp what it is that nature is trying to correct in our attitude towards whatever is before us, and especially in the connection that we have with friends, the friends that are studying with us, because there's a very special quality there that that is a kind of an incubator that you can't get in the general world. But so what's happening is a Kabbalist is going up and down, many times. It's possible many times, even in a minute. Connecting, disconnecting, correcting, reconnecting, disconnecting, and all the time working on that discernment in their heart about what's being asked, where is the path leading, according to a single principle: am I doing this for the well-being of the whole system in the same way that the creator or the force of nature does?
Okay, great. We have a live question from Julian. We'll go
Great,
to
Julian.
Julian live.
Sorry, everyone. I accidentally remuted myself. Can you hear me? I seem to have been lost. So I come from a Hasidic background, and I was wondering, like, when I watched some of the videos, I noticed that in the introduction, there's a lot of talk about Kabbalah is not this, it's not that, and I was wondering, like, when it comes to like meditation, like I realize there's pop Kabbalah, like Hollywood's Kabbalah, which is definitely not kosher. And I was wondering, like, are we saying that like the meditative practices are completely detached from Kabbalah, or just that that's not the basis of Kabbalah?
Well, when you study Kabbalah, it's not a smorgasbord. It's a science, and it's a discipline that is very single-pointed, in the sense that you have to study what the science is, and you get the science from somebody who knows the science, from a person in attainment of the science. And it seems as though there are schools of Kabbalah that do different things, but you can actually only learn Kabbalah from a person in attainment and in a certain form using a certain methodology. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about things that people say are meditation, and that they say it had its source in Kabbalah. like hitbonenut does not mean, which you'll see in some of the writings of people who call themselves Kabbalists but never learned from a Kabbalist. They say that that's meditation, but it isn't. It's contemplation. It's like it's focus, and it's observation of a process that happens between people in a minyan, actually in a ten, and it's observing the qualities that happen. There is no purely mechanical process connected, for humans, connected to Kabbalah. Kabbalah is a conscious process of conscious attainment and conscious agreement with the general law of the universe and all of the cascading laws that come from it. There's no meditation in any of the sources. There are misunderstandings about what things are because the person who is interpreting it didn't have the benefit of learning Kabbalah, the oral wisdom from an actual Kabbalistic sage. So, yes, basically, I'm saying that there is no basis for that in Kabbalah. That all happened when things became disconnected, when people started printing their own books, making stuff up, trying to fuse one thing to another. And as you know, coming from a Hasidic background, a lot of things are called Kabbalah, but this inner thing about intention is never really taught within the religious framework. I grew up in a religious framework, and you don't get this exposure. So you know there are differences. So here's what I wanted to say about very specific. You need to take the ladder by which you want to climb into spirituality, place it somewhere. You have to decide whether you're in the right place, whether you're with the right teacher. I know I went through that process with Rav Lightman, my teacher, and the teacher of the teachers in KBU. And you make a decision, and you place the ladder down. You follow the instruction of the scientist who knows, how you do these experiments, and you go. So that's not included in what I've received from my teacher, and that's why I say that.
Okay, we have another viewer inspired to ask a live question. We have Val with us.
Zoom. I see the camera.
Go ahead, Val, you're unmuted.
Oh, hello. Hey, Tony, let me congratulate you on the course. I really like it. I have a question. How do we know that we are making progress, that we are beginning to climb one of the 125 steps?
Well, you will know because these things are decisions in a way. They're decisions in a person. But you also need to understand that, this is the greatest science, the most comprehensive science or art that exists, right? And it's about your life and the unfolding of life to its proper form, to its ultimate form. So we need to understand that there are processes, just like there are processes in the natural, birth, childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, all those things. The reason we see that in our physical life is that that's how the process laid out by nature works, and it works that way in spirituality too. So you're in a process, and the students here are in a process of preparation. You're unlearning certain things. You are grasping a whole other way of viewing things. Your inner nature is sort of rearranging itself, and there are experiences that are necessary in this process to bring us to a place where we then begin to work very directly on our resistances. You'll see that in the next step that you take, if you continue in KBU, there will be an opportunity for you to work in a much more direct way with other students. That's where the measurement of you and the light starts to happen in a really tangible way. You understand exactly where your resistances are. You understand where the light is drawing you. And when that starts to happen, Not that it doesn't happen to some degree already. You begin to feel the changes in you. You begin to notice things you never noticed before, like how programmed everything in the world is, and you understand the program. It's like now you get it. That's why things happen. You can look at things that are happening in politics and blah, 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 all this stuff, and you understand why people are doing what they're doing. And then eventually you begin to see the larger scope of exactly the same principles from nature. But it's a process of evolution. Now, when you study, you're speeding up that evolution incredibly. But there will come a time when you really know, when you're engaged fully in the methodology, and it'll be very clear to you, because you will be making decisions to value truth above pleasure. Truth will become your pleasure.
Okay, related to that, to the methodology, is a question from Sylvia. Is there a technique to praying in order to receive an answer? Do I need to be on my knees and eyes closed? This is how I was taught to pray.
It's a beautiful question. And it's very, very important. First of all, you need to know that a prayer is not, it's not words, it's what we truly feel if we would only tell the truth. It's what is at the bottom of our heart and our most profound need at any given moment. Prayers are answered when they take into account the need of the whole. Because the answer to our prayer never comes directly. It comes through the system, through others. And it means that, not that we're not taken care of, not that the system of nature doesn't, look at everything and take into account everything. But prayer is there in order to raise us to its level. It's not that we're asking the system to serve us. We are asking to understand why the system, what was the attitude of nature, of the Creator, in sending me a situation for which I am asking now something. Am I asking for it to change? That's not a real prayer. Am I asking that I could understand the love behind the evolutionary step that nature, the Creator, is now giving to me, to be able to see that, to rise to that level? That's a prayer. And yes, you have to be on your knees, but not on your physical knees. We have to understand that we are asking to be raised to the intention behind the thing that we are now, that has created a need in us, and not mistake the need for escape, but that need should be turned into, may I understand the goodness behind why you gave this to me. I'll leave it there, because this is a very deep subject and an important one. But there is nothing physically that we can do to get a prayer answered except to care for other people.
Okay, we have another viewer who's inspired to ask a live question. We love to hear from you, Carrie.
What compels a person to bestow in order to bestow? In the process of it, how does it happen? Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear the very first part of the sentence. Say the first part again.
What compels a person to bestow in order to bestow, to make that shift? Hello? What compels a person to make that transition, that shift, to become, to bestow in order to bestow?
Okay, can you hear me? Good. What compels? Nothing true. Well, it depends on where the view from which we are taking, the lens from which we're looking at this system. We're not compelled, except by the general desire that unfolds existence. It's leading us there, but we have to agree with it. The thing that allows us to agree to this is a step-by-step process where we begin to need to do this above other things. It has to be the most important thing to us at that moment. Otherwise, there are other needs that will eclipse it. We need to ask for growth. We need to study the things that are the method and the concepts that are being laid out, and be consistent with it. Try and try and try. And the thing that actually, in a sense, compels you is your discovering your inability to do that. We don't actually reveal the spiritual light directly. What we reveal is our own nature. We reveal the difference between us and bestowal. And that revelation of the delta, the difference between the two, because we have this goal of reaching the light, causes us to feel shame, to feel an emptiness, but not for some pointless, useless thing. An emptiness specifically to reach that place that you described. That's how it works. And that's how everything works in nature. But it works specifically this way also in spirituality.
Well, speaking of reaching that place, there's a question from Robert from Massachusetts. Is it true that once we reach the first spiritual degree, we can advance without instruction from a Kabbalist? In other words, does that first level of attainment allow us to receive instruction directly from nature?
I'm thinking about how to answer this question for you because I'm trying to truly understand what it is you're asking, like why you're asking about that step of independence. The whole thing that we're studying is to reach a place where our actual perception is the relationship, the living relationship between, so that we understand our role, that we take up our role. That means that ultimately that a person is filled with the mind of the system. They don't lose their own mind, but they grow into this attainment of acting on behalf of the system, in the system, for the system, and by means of the system. So the first step of spirituality allows for a kind of a connection that evolves into a thing that Kabbalists call a man's soul shall teach him. Doesn't mean a man as opposed to a woman, but the level, it's a level. Man is a level. It's called the speaking level in Kabbalah. This is the part that is supposed to be and is connected to the upper force that manages everything below it, that manages even the human animal. So when we are connected in that way, yes, we're learning and do everything directly from nature. But that wouldn't necessarily have a person feel that they would want to disconnect from anything, not from friends, not from those that they've learned from, because that's all part of the system. There's a hierarchy, a cascading in the system, and we're not learning to stand alone, but to be one and unique in connection with the whole one and unique eternal system.
Interesting question here from Accuser. Is it normal to feel an inflation of the ego as one makes the decisions necessary to ascend the ladder?
Absolutely. It is not only is it normal, it's necessary. The people who come to Kabbalah are the biggest Kabbalists. And that's because you need to, the way that we correct ourselves is that first we reveal this opposite quality, and we don't destroy it. We use it, we kind of sling it up into its proper form. Unless we reveal ego, and unless we have this egoism, we can't climb. It's in a way the fuel. So yes, it's natural and it's good that you feel that, and you should be. I mean, you should be proud. You should be that you reached a place in your personal development where you sought this out, and also that nature responded to you and gave you, and opened the door for you. There are a lot of people who have the same desire that you have and never find the door. You have a certain, special desire and a certain power of ego, and you're going to need it. They say that the person is greater than his friend because his ego is greater than his friend. It's what eventually becomes transmuted into the exact opposite, into bestowal. The deeper your ego, the higher the light it's possible to attract in the long run.
Okay, next question. How is egoism different from the desire to receive, or is it?
No, we are the will to receive. That's just the mechanism that we serve. That's what matter is. It's the desire to receive. But what we call an egoistic intention is not that we receive, but why and for whose benefit. Who are we benefiting by receiving, what we must anyway from nature? Not that we receive. Life exists because we were built in order to have, move food through us, have desire push us towards things and away from other things. That's just its operating system on us. The difference is, for whom do I receive this pleasure? For whom do I do this act? What do we ultimately want to have happen? Is it for my benefit or for the benefit somehow of the whole? And for others reaching that same quality. Not that I become Superman. That won't help anybody. But that somehow the intention is moved towards the holistic success of the human spirit.
Okay, so refining that a little bit more, there's a question that ties into that. So what is the correct intention?
Well, there was a thought of creation, to create a creature and to completely fulfill this creature, to take it through it from the lowest, darkest point to the exact quality of the eternal force that impelled creation. And if we can do whatever we do in order to fulfill that, that's the right intention. But that thing gets broken down bit by bit with every event and person that we encounter. But it's not about, if you want to reach this, the correct intention has to be done in work with other people in the method of Kabbalah. There's a preparation that has to happen there. But that's basically it. I was created in order to fulfill a certain role. I want to do everything that I do only in order to fulfill that and to bring pleasure to the entire system.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you, Dan Greenbaum, viewing on YouTube. Very interesting so far, exclamation point. When does the next course begin and how much does it cost?
Okay, you want to kick the tires? I guess that's what you're doing here. Let's see, the next course is, well, the next course is a 5-week course. And it's this course, Kabbalah Revealed 1. There's also a Kabbalah Revealed 2. It starts on May 20th. And you can register for the course at Kab.info, and you'll see they'll put the link into the chat for you. Well, I mean, this is an educational institution. There is, it does cost something to study, but because our goal is to make this available to anybody who really wants it and obviously needs it, the model that we use for tuition is pay what you wish. So that means we're not keeping anybody away from having access to the wisdom, but understand that it costs money to run our university, to the servers, the books that are printed, the preparation, the technical preparations, the organization, all of that. It's a school. It costs around $25 a student per month or so for us to actually run it. But we picked this model so that you can decide what you can do. Like, maybe it doesn't matter to you. Maybe you can help other students. You can make your tuition more than, you can pay $10, $20, $30, whatever will satisfy the fact that you're supporting other people if you can do it. And if you can't, you can't. But understand that there are people that are benefiting from it, and it makes it easier for everybody to, for us to bring this to you. Yeah, that's basically it. And once you join and you're on you're in the university site there's a lot of information there about how to do it and when to do it, and you can make your choice there. Okay.
Okay, Kent Wall, thank you very much for this question. Going deep now. There's a lot of talk of the so-called barrier in Kabbalah, but how can we know when we cross or when we have crossed that barrier?
Well, you're going to learn to know a lot of things that you didn't know you knew. And this is an unmistakable thing. There's no way that you will not know it. But there are many steps of many discernments that build up a kind of an orbit around something that we don't quite understand now. We see the path in a kind of linear, sort of two-dimensional. We see it like a line leading up to some kind of a border and then crossing it. It doesn't work that way, and it has to do with a quality in the heart. All of this is really, we're built out of desires. That's why nature can direct us easily through pleasure, because that's what we are. We are this will to receive. So the way that we approach these things in our mind gives us this somewhat linear and geometrical sort of approach to process and progress. But it is the enlightenment of the heart, the opening, the growing inclusiveness in the heart that is unmistakable, just like any emotion that we feel towards any of the things, towards people, towards things that happen. Most of our emotions are painted with a quality of, sort of fear coming out of self-concern or tension or worry, and all having to do with how am I doing, where am I going, am I achieving spirituality? But the barrier itself is something that is a completely different quality of the heart that is concerned about spirituality, not for myself. So it doesn't have this sort of linear or two-dimensional quality. When that emotion appears in your heart, there will be no question, just like there's no question when you love somebody or not. it's kind of similar to that, except its scope is much greater than that. So it's unmistakable.
Okay, Julian asked, is the belief in the Creator essential? I heard someone say that one can be an atheist and still study Kabbalah in more than just an academic sense.
Well, belief, a lot of people say that they believe in God, they believe in the Creator, they believe there is a force, I'm a spiritual kind of person, I'm not a religious person, I'm spiritual. We say that, but that doesn't actually get us anywhere. Because the moment that we have any type of resistance, and it's intentional resistance that comes at us from the spiritual, it pushes us back on purpose in order to build this desire, the correct desire that we've been talking about. As soon as that happens, they say, well, it's a crisis of faith, and people, forget about it, run away. This is a science. Actually believing what Kabbalah calls belief is actually attainment. It is above the reason that we normally think of when we say we believe in something. It's better if you don't believe. There's a skepticism. You have to test these things. If you don't actually attain a sensation of the interconnectedness of nature and the way in which it works, and you don't feel it working on you, through you, or you having to work against it, whatever it is that you're experiencing, unless that's like it's empirical, unless it's happening for you, it's not happening. So we don't believe anything. It's not a matter of being atheistic or not. It's just that it's irrelevant whether you believe something. It is totally and only relevant when you're actually experiencing it. And when you're experiencing. You already have all those mechanisms that confirm reality for you. People can tell you things and you'll say, that's not real. And yet you can feel something that you cannot even convey to somebody, and it's real. Reality, the mechanism for knowing as opposed to belief is already built into the system. We just have to understand it and use it correctly.
So bringing that down to a daily basis, objective practice of Kabbalah, Orlando Henderson asked, how does the student in Kabbalah use a system in a practical, objective way on a daily basis?
You're not at the point. Where is this from? Is that from, that's from a chat? Yeah, probably is. Okay.
Probably chat.
Yeah, so you need to learn certain things in Kabbalah first. You can't just take, it's not like self-help. It's a transformative process in which everything that is in the guts and desire and intention of a person becomes transformed. And it has to be done in a lab. It has to be done in a correct environment where the purpose of the environment is aimed at your goal. It can't just be, especially at the beginning, it can't just be taken out and done like, here's a technique to use, in my next business presentation. I know you're not saying that, but I'm exaggerating in order to make it clear that the practical methodology is a methodology within the study. And we eventually come to a place where there is a really practical and very human, down-to-earth process of interaction between people that is the methodology. And it simply it changes a person enough, profoundly, that even out in the world, they don't see and react in the same way. But you can't just take pieces of this methodology and apply them, like we can apply certain therapeutic ideas or a meditation for calming oneself, or all those things that are great for what they are, but they aren't this. So the practical thing is you have to study. Study means to look, appreciate, delve, test on a fairly constant basis so that it changes you.
Here's a great question. Another question from Accuser from the Zoom chat, thinking about helping others attain spirituality. How does one person's attainment wear the path down in a way that makes it easier for others to attain?
Nice.
Beautiful question.
Every connection that was ever made by all of the Kabbalists, the sages, and their students before us open a pathway of, it's what we call unity, or doing unifications. To identify with a part of the system as that it's actually you. To not see an external world, but to see it as you, and to care for it the way that you care for you. To love your friend as yourself. To see everything as it is actually your soul. Your soul is actually outside of you, not in you, and it's begging a proper relationship for us to unite with that. It has to do with relationships. So every single clarification, relationship, channel of unity that was opened by sages, other students, everything that became clear to them before you questioned it in your heart, you inherit it. Just like that 100th monkey thing. You are the benefactor of all work that went before. And likewise, why? Because every part of the system serves every other part of the system, and it's a hierarchy from the initial thought of creation down through all of its multiplicity and into your particular heart and mind, which is actually not your particular heart and mind. So we're all serving each other. But you can see it really well in Kabbalah, because we see that with new students. See, there's this group, there's what we call a world vessel, world Kli, that's working every day around the globe, studying every day. There are thousands of people doing this. And they are constantly moving closer and closer to a complete unification and identification with each other and with the entire system. And we find that when people come into classes, in live classes and so on, and you're able to sort of measure and feel them, and we can even feel it here in the questions, they've already benefited from stuff that we banged our heads against the wall for years in order to be able to feel. And yet, the people who come in now come in with a natural sense of this. We're always serving each other because that's what we're here to do. Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, I'm nervous and I'm not even going to be the one answering the questions.
Okay.
Okay, this is called the Blitz. This is how it works. Tony has 3 minutes to answer as many of your questions as he can. This is the challenge. You've been batting 1,000 so far.
But I've been talking long, I know.
Yeah, we're gonna throw something in the mix here.
Okay. And every time I answer the question, I'm going to do this, because I like doing that. Okay.
Okay.
Hit the clock.
Ready, go. How do you feel about Kabbalah magic?
Doesn't exist.
Good. I used to love researching spiritual matters. I have lost that longing. How do I get that back?
Start studying Kabbalah.
Okay, Zoom chat from Accuser. Aren't all thoughts based on assumptions which are actually micro-beliefs? Try that one.
Yes, egoistic thoughts are exactly like that, and they don't have to be so micro either. But there are other thoughts of a completely other quality that are not speculation and are not relative. They are absolute spiritual objects.
I was trying to beat you that time. From Yomara, when you say bestow on to others, do you mean to send them good wishes, good vibes?
That among other things, but specifically to make your process in life and your development in life aimed at their benefit.
I'm not Jewish, so does that mean I have to be one?
You do not have to be one, but you have to be one. Jewish means to want a direct connection with the Creator. It's got nothing to do. the intentional level and what our sages taught us, and they always taught people who were not Jewish. Jewish means unity. It means this desire in your heart for a direct connection with the upper force, and anybody can learn this. And unless you just have a feeling in your heart that you want to be part of a Jewish community, that's a whole other thing, but you don't need to study Kabbalah.
Okay, less than a minute and a half. We have 18 questions.
Go,
Here
go!
we go. I am, is it bad to be lonely?
It hurts to be lonely, but everybody is a loner. Everybody is built in the opposite form of the will to bestow. And we all think that we don't want to be connected to anybody, and that's the nature of that core feeling of the will to receive. And that's exactly what we're unlearning. So if you've got that feeling, join the human race, because you're like everybody else, and this is the way out of that loneliness.
But this guy isn't lonely. Mr. Cook It Up. No kidding. No kidding. Please explain the levels of souls. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechida. In particular, I am curious of Chaya.
Well, these are different similarities of form, different grades of similarity of form to the intention that the thought of creation has, that the Creator has. The highest form is one and the same as the Creator's intention. It has exactly the same feeling towards everything in creation and everybody else and every creature and every aspect of the cosmos as the Creator has. All of those other worlds and levels of soul are less grades of exactly that quality.
10 seconds. Is the Messiah only internal, or will there actually be a physical being who will come on the scene?
The Messiah is a force that pulls us from our will to receive to its final...
To its final ding. Sorry, please.
All right, I'll just finish that. It doesn't matter how it manifests physically, because Messiah pulls us out of our physical perception into the upper force that underlines and plays out everything. It gives us access. Mashiach is like the word Moshe or Moses. It is the pulling force that brings us into spirituality.
Not bad.
Yeah, and we're in the period of the Messiah. It doesn't mean that some guy is going to come in on a white donkey. It may mean that someplace. And it'll be according to what people can understand, see, and identify with. But what it means is that there is a general need in humanity now that didn't exist before now. Just take a look at the world. It is a bloody mess. And the thing that is needed most by everybody is a sensation of connection and agreement with others. We live in a global situation, and we hate the fact that we're so close to each other and totally dependent on each other. Right now we use the internet to steal and spy. But it represents that quality of connection that has to be changed, and everybody needs this, and everybody knows it. So everybody's gut is calling for that pulling force, so that we can move to a corrected form of global total interconnection within. That this is the generation of the Messiah, because everyone is calling for that one specific need.
Well done. You answered
How many?
X number of questions.
Whoa.
I lost count. I was too excited.
All you had to do was count, and you didn't count. I had to answer questions.
Nice job.
Okay.
Beautiful. Okay, so next question. I want to get the physical books and just want to make sure, after having seen all the books available through the library, that these are the only books I will need to progress in my classes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I understand, because there are a lot of books in the bookstore, but these classes are built around all of the information that sort of evolved, came out of the Zohar, and they're all adapted in a very special way so that we can work with them, according to the condition of the soul in this generation. So there are specific books that have that in various forms, and we put them into into kits, book collections that represent what you need. In the course, you're going to need to refer to these books. So there's Kabbalah Revealed packages. There's like Kabbalah Revealed 1 and Kabbalah Revealed... Can you put that... Thank you. That'll help me remember what all these things are. So in part 1, we have Attaining the Worlds Beyond, which is really a beautiful book, very inspiring. and it allows you to flow through many of these ideas. It really speaks to the heart, and it can help sort of, it'll wash over you, and you can put a lot of these things, principles, you can see them reflected there and feel them in an emotional way. Kabbalah for the student, which is that big green book in the back of part 1 there, that one contains articles, important articles, that are Kabbalistic writings. They have a very special quality. They allow us to attract the light. There's also, not just by reading it or scanning it, but by working with it, by contemplating it and considering it. And then there's stuff on the science of Kabbalah that explains the structure, our inner structure, the structure of the worlds, how things are created, how they descended, how we ascend in a scientific mode. And then there are lessons called Kabbalah Revealed that reinforce everything that we're learning in terms of principles. And then in part 2, there is Shamati. I'll speak specific. There's 2 books in that one, but Shamati in particular is one that really brings a great deal of light to a person. These are all of the lessons that were remembered, collected, and recorded by the teacher of Rav Lightman. There's a teaching lineage, and his teacher, we call him Rabash, Baruch Ashlag, wrote all of these things that he had received from his father and his teacher, Bala Salam, Yehuda Ashlag. These articles in this book, Shamati, actually show a person, teach a person the inner steps that they go through and must go through as they begin spiritual attainment. It's a gorgeous book. So those things are, there's a 20% discount if you're a student. I mean, they're great for anybody, but for our students, there's a special key code that you can enter when you buy that package for your course, and you can it'll be there in your in the Zoom chat. And other than that, those books can be bought, and a lot of other books at our bookstore, and that's also will be in the chat for you. Okay.
Actually, question about the books. Carlos Solorzano is asking, should we read the Zohar first or the Torah?
I want to remind the students that they can, on Zoom, that you can ask live, and it's really appreciated because I can feel you, and the people who are watching get a sensation of what it's like for you. Do you have to read? Well, just reading either of those isn't going to do a lot for us. The difficulty with the Torah is, the thing that's beautiful about the language of Kabbalah, there are many languages in Torah. All of this is actually Torah. Torah means instruction by the light. And there are different languages, and therefore different generations and different qualities of soul. The more coarse a soul is, like the greater amount of egoism, like we have the greatest egoism of all of humanity up until this point. And so we will and won't understand certain things that were aimed at a generation whose qualities were less coarse. They were more subtle. They saw through things in an easier way. So the language in the that we call, the 5 books of Moses of the Torah, it's all figurative stuff. It's all Kabbalah, but it is not understood that way because it's written in a language to hide the intentional level. So we read it and we think it's talking about things about this world, but it isn't talking about that. It's talking about states. So when we read it, we don't truly benefit a lot from it, except to practice, to hear certain things. And we hear them over and over again, but we don't understand them. Likewise, the most difficult book you could read on your own, and I don't know really what good it does, is the Zohar. The Zohar has to be studied in a particular way, and it takes preparation, and it must be done with others. There's nothing that we can understand in the Zohar unless we are attempting to make a connection with the Creator and with the system through our connection with others, and specifically while we are reading. So it doesn't matter, enjoy any of them that you want. To read whatever inspires you. The order is to study. The order is to learn the concepts and go along with your students and with your instructor as you reach the point in which you will be studying Zohar.
Tony, I heard you mention the hidden. There's a question related to that by Alejandro Flores. Is a world of spirituality unreal reality?
Is the world of spirituality unreal reality? No, the material world is unreal reality. This is not reality. Its purpose is not clear to us. I mean, also, it is representative of, it's like all we can take, So we're not capable of working directly with spiritual forces because the only way you can do it is by being like them internally. So in order for us to be able to begin to work, we need a kind of reality that places everything together in a little sort of toy box and has us work with it until we mature. It's not to say that what we see is not real. It's just that we think we are seeing physical, detached things, and we behave as though we are. We behave as though things were hidden. We behave as though our intentions and our attitudes don't really matter and can be disguised. We don't understand, excuse me, how much we're affected by the system, how much it actually is our mind and our responses, nor how much the small gap of free will that we do have affects the well-being of the whole system. We're acting, it's like you've got a speedometer and you've got your windscreen, but that's not where we're going. We're looking at a place that we're not going at all. We have to unlearn that. So it's this world that isn't real, and it is the emotions, the spiritual intentions that is real, that causes, that moves everything. Nothing is moved from this level. No action, no organization, no army, no nothing. Nothing is created here. Everything ends up here from that intentional level. And the fact that we don't see it that way and we feel that it works the other way around, that's an illusion.
Another question from the Zoom chat from Liam. Thank you, Liam. Thank you all for your questions, by the way. Every single question that everyone's sending in are all beautiful questions.
They are good.
So thank you very much. So Liam wants to know, rituals are valuable in religion. What role, if any, do rituals play in Kabbalah?
There are no rituals in Kabbalah. Rituals are memory devices, right? They're intended to make a person have some sort of a sensation of something that they have no sensation of. We don't do that in religion. Does that because religion is, though it is a reduction of the connection to our direct connection to the law of nature. It is without benefit of a living connection. So, in order for us not to get completely lost, there are some things that that exist in traditions that remind people of such things, but they don't connect them. You can't do a ritual and end up connected to something. You must explore. You must go above your own reason, and you have to discover these things, and you must discover it with others. So Kabbalah does not use those things. Now there there was a point at which all religions were created. That was at the destruction of the temple. That's the second temple. That's the point at which we lost our connection with the spiritual level. All of humanity benefited from that thing called Yasharel, from Israel, which was not, which was like, it looked to us like a physical country, but it was an initial connection of the mind of humanity with that upper mind. When that connection for humanity was lost, then it got, the sages created a lot of memory devices. They created books that would at least not have an incorrect form in relation to spiritual forms. But they in themselves don't really do anything. The one thing they do, but as a byproduct, is they make us want to understand, what the heck is this? What's behind this? And not every ritual has anything to it. A lot of it's just totally made up.
Okay, another question coming from Zoom, Yomara. Glad to have you with us, Yomara. When you say study, how long on a daily basis should we spend studying?
Good question. Yeah, it changes as you grow. It depends on how long you're in it and what you want. And a person should, first of all, study in your however long it takes to watch the course, respond to the interactive materials, and then read. Read from the books in the book package. There's plenty. There's plenty in there for you. Find some time. I would say you've got to do something every day. It needs to be a daily thing. Otherwise, we forget about it. And if you're going to actually go through a transformative process, it means you're going to eventually live this way. You're going to perceive differently. So make some kind of a habit for yourself in relation to, at least to the books. Now, as you go along, I'll give you an example of what the friends, I and Mary and Dima, who you can't see, who's running our broadcast, and the people who teach and learn with Rav Lightman. We study every day, 3 hours, and we do other work for to bring this to other people. So it's a big part of our lives. But there are grades of that, and people you do according to what you can do. And people are very busy, and it's not in order to turn your life inside out. It has to be natural. It has to support your natural existence. But the more that you remind yourself about these things, the more imprinted the forms of nature become inside of you.
And Francisco Marin wants to know, Tony, how can I reach unity?
Well, that's what we've been talking about. You reach it through a relationship with others, but aimed at the intention behind nature, aimed at what we call the Creator. The desire of the Creator for you to reach unity is the thing that you are also aiming at. You want to become unified with that loving force, that loving intention. But people don't have any direct business with the Creator. The Creator created this environment for us. Nature created a multifaceted environment full of other people, which, by the way, aren't other people. They're really your soul, but on the outside so that you can correct it, you can deal with it, you can pay attention to it. Unity is a real thing. It's not an abstract thing. We learn to unite with the desires of other people, with their well-being, with their good, with their fulfillment. And we aim that to the Creator. We do it for that reason, not to serve ourselves, not so that we will reach unity. It's subtle. It's tricky to catch it, how we actually think or don't think, like the thought of creation. But you can never measure it, only in relation to me and the Creator, because we lie. We say we're good with it, and that we think the Creator's good with us, but you need to have something to measure. So unity is found actually with other people and through other people, and that brings us to a unity with the Creator.
Connected to that question is a question from Dale Richardson from Zoom chat. If there is none else but Him, then are all of us Him?
We'll put it this way, none else besides Him also includes you. It also, there is nothing that is not encompassed in that statement. It is a holistic, completely interrelated system. And it is a single, unified, and unique beingness. Words fail here. So it includes you, and it acts through you, and it is everything outside as well. But it's not just like we can say, well, it's all the creative force, so I don't have to worry. It's all up to, or it's not like there's nothing to do. Oh, so He's also my thoughts and my reactions. He, meaning the force of bestowal. That's what He means. She means the force of reception. That's what the creature is. We're all feminine as far as that goes. I'm talking physically, it's like electronics. But that
Just in time for the next question. Sylvia Villamizar is asking what exercises or practices can be done to diminish the ego. Going along with that, what exercises or practices can be done to increase the light?
There are no practices outside of study and working with other students specifically on developing an identification with them. That's too simply put, but there's no kind of practices. I can tell you something that's kind of like an exercise. You can go to a friend's place. You've heard this thing. If you're studying, then you know this. It was from the Zoom chat? Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you go to your mother's or go to a friend's who's prepared a dinner party for you and just see, you're invited to it. See if you can eat this, not to just fulfill your taste buds and your pleasure, but to give your friend the satisfaction of seeing you enjoy and respect and be thrilled by all that they've done for you. This is, it's not. It'll give you some insight, but it's not a thing that you're just gonna be able to tear off and do, and that's really not the place you do it. But it will give you some kind of insight into what this process is about.
Great question related to New Jersey Congress coming up in May from Mike. I will be coming to New Jersey Congress May 3rd. Will you? I wouldn't miss it. I will be there. See you there, Mike. How about you, Tony?
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. All of the CobbU teachers are going to be there. Hey, look, if you are I don't know if everybody knows what a Congress is. Certainly the people who are watching on the other streams may not know. It's an event where physically, and not only physically but also virtually, but in North America, in New Jersey, from the 3rd to the 6th of May, there's going to be an international gathering of Kabbalists. And what happens there, and Kabbalist students, we study, we transform all these things. Okay, we eat. There's music. There's learning, there's sharing, there's cultural things, there's all of these things that you might expect at a convention, but for a very different purpose, and it's all done under our teacher, Rav Lightman. He's coming from Israel to lead the study there, and this is an intensive it's enjoyable, but it's intensive work, all aimed at the same thing over a number of days, and it will. If you're a student of Kabbalah, you really should be there. If you can, you should be there because it advances you. It's kind of like it's like an accelerator. And what you get out of reading or the interactive stuff here or listening to me yak at you is nothing. It's a small degree compared to the acceleration and understanding, three-dimensional understanding that you will get in that situation. You'll just get it. There are things that require a kind of an immersion to clarify, and you have to see how other people do it and so on, and to be in a place where the only reason that it's there is for you to be able to reach this goal, to sense what unity is, to get some sensation of bestow, to see it in action from other people. It's not like the world. Everywhere you look, you see people only doing that, only aiming at your benefit, and you get on the bicycle and you see, oh, that's the balance, and you'll advance a year's worth of study, maybe more. Who knows what can happen. The entire world of all of these students that all over the world are focused on this event. It's beautiful and intense. So that's May 3rd to the 6th. There it is. Yeah, there's the information, and that's the link. It'll tell you everything about the preparation, the music, what's going to be studied, where you blah blah blah, all of that stuff.
I think we have a really nice clip too, don't we?
Yeah.
In the Congress.
Mm-hmm. That'll explain a lot. Let's see that. That is amazing. That was one of those mannequin statue challenges. We think that's the biggest one that ever happened anywhere. There's this Congress is designed to work for very advanced students and for people who are completely new to this situation. And like that question earlier about how does the path tread by people who studied before prepare a way, that's what this is about. You'll really benefit from it. So we have a live question?
Sure. Liam posted a question earlier this evening, and now he has a live question.
Great.
Liam?
Go ahead, Liam, you're unmuted.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Just a couple of questions. Following up with my previous question, you said that the destruction of the Second Temple was when religion started, but the way I understood it, religion had existed before that. So was that kind of religion started then in a different type of way? In what sense was that, and like what was the significance of that? And also, I heard you say earlier about like um, all matter operates on the will to receive. So does that mean that like even the inanimate is viewed as conscious in Kabbalah? Just a couple of questions. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, those are a couple of questions worth about 2 hours of response. They're good questions. Now, we look back because we lived in an environment that in which spirituality and religion are somewhat synonymous, but they're not. And our perception seems like, well, there's sects and there's beliefs and so on, but that is not how the human spirit responded to the upper force prior to about 2,000 years ago. There was a complete and purposeful disconnection that happened there. We look back, and through our definitions now of Christianity, Judaism, Islam, we think that that's what they did, and that's what the temple was about, and so on. But it wasn't. It was an ideology of the connection with nature. Like you look at the native peoples now, and what they talk about, how they understand nature, how they are so completely immersed in it, and dealt with it in a very different way. And that's just physical nature, okay? But there's like all scopes of nature involved in the full scope of creation. But the interaction, the relationship, the place in which our sensation of reality was different prior to that fall from that state, the general state that all of perception of humanity had. We were loaded with a lot more egoism that made us drop completely out of the spiritual level. Specifically at that time, and specifically for the purpose of bringing the whole of creation up to that level, not just a part, not just the people called Israel, which were really representatives of the 70 nations of the Babylonian Empire, not a race. It was an ideology of a connection to a direct connection to the law of nature, general law of nature. That we lost, and we don't believe that such a thing could exist, and so we look at it through the lens of religion now. I think I'll leave it there. Your question about matter is complex and would take a long time to talk about, but all matter is simply the force that draws towards itself.
Okay, one more question. What is evil and how do we transform it to good?
Evil is the disconnection, indifference that we have towards others, that we see our benefit through their diminishment. This is an impulse. It's a deeply bred instinct in us, placed in us by nature. And this is what we need to actually uncover and correct. Evil is not evil in itself. There's no such thing as evil in itself. Evil is a quality, is the misuse of the quality of the will to receive, not understanding how to correct it or how to direct it. And if we're lazy with it and we're not moving forward and we're not trying to understand it and use to build our desire to attract the light, we start destroying everything. And that's just from our disconnection, from our exploitation of others, which feels justified and right. But it isn't. And all good, pleasure, happiness comes from the opposite of that, and everybody knows that. It doesn't come from what we get through exploitation. It comes from the genuine love and care for and of others, especially of others. that there's an appreciation. You see them being fulfilled by our actions. So it's actually very simple. Anything that disconnects is on the spectrum towards evil, but evil is the extreme of disconnection. What? I didn't already answer questions?
Ready? We have so many questions, and our time is almost up. This is the challenge of the night to see how many you can pack in the next 3 minutes. I'm going to borrow your pen so I can jot
Okay,
down the
yeah.
numbers. I'm going to keep count this time.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
No. Okay, I'm ready.
Gotta do it.
All right.
Here we go. Gemi from Twitter. I discovered that Kabbalah is a doctrine of demons. What do you have to say about it?
I say balderdash and nonsense. Demon. Wait, no. Demon is not. It's not an entity. It's a quality within ourselves that is opposed to the direction of the light. And it's something that is under correction. Those entities of angels and demons are materialized nonsense.
Okay, go. Why do we sometimes feel that it's all an illusion around us and we're lost between reality and illusion?
Because you should be occasionally. Otherwise, things can't change for you. And it's a good thing. It's a better state than knowing everything.
How can you desire to give without obtaining recognition?
Yes. How do we get fuel to give? We have to ask for that. Not receiving anything is actually, in a way, not receiving when we're giving is the greatest pleasure of all. Because the Creator, the force of nature, does not need anything in order to be able to give. And that is something that we are trying to reach. So we ask our friends that we're working with and the upper force to help us with that. That's a real prayer.
We're one. Okay, personal question. Can Tony give an example, a personal example of climbing up one step of the 125 steps?
No, I can't. No, I mean, I won't.
Okay, Zoom chat from Imara. I am on Kabbalah in action, and lately I feel like I don't get it. Is that normal? Like it comes and goes?
What? I'm in what? I'm in what?
I'm in Kabbalah. I'm on Kabbalah in action, and lately I feel I don't get it. Is that normal? Like it comes and goes?
Yes, it should come and go because it's spiritual cognizance. It's like breathing. You take a breath and you use everything from the breath, and then you breathe out and it's gone, and you have to take another breath. And it's the same with spirituality. It does not stay like some kind of knowledge. It's a constant flow, a constant change, and a constant enlivening, and it's good that that happens to you.
Okay, here we go. Kelly Coins 28. Can you describe what an intention exactly is according to Kabbalah?
It's why and for whom I am doing whatever the heck I'm doing.
Excellent. Quick. From Ron Moorfield, if we can't be there, will the convention in New Jersey be streamed? Great question.
It will be streamed. So if you can't be there, if it's not possible for you, we're making sure that all of those things are available to everybody. In the whole world, many people around the world will be watching. Ding.
Is Satan a force that makes me see my friend not whole, meaning part of the Creator?
Sure, it is that opposing thing in us that makes us want to tend in the direction away from the friend.
Nice job.
How many?
8.
Okay.
Very nice job.
All right.
So I think we have some announcements for you. If you have some closing words, Tony, or do you want me to read the announcements first?
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, for having the questions that you have, and the good questions, really serious, real questions. And I thank you for listening. And I want to invite you, if you're not already part of KABU, if you're this curious, why don't you benefit from it? Why don't you get in there and start learning, start helping others through your learning, changing your reality, making life better. There's a new semester that's starting, and everybody's welcome. I enjoy these. I want to tell you, I really enjoy the bell. And so I want to then say good evening, thank you, and wait.
My turn.
Okay.
Announcements. Books. If you are in Kabbalah Revealed 1 or 2, you can get your course book packages with a 20% discount. Check the links in the chat. Kabu Pay What You Wish participation. If you want to participate in the course tuition or simply support the spreading of Kabbalah, you can do so on our Pay What You Wish page. For the New Jersey Congress, get your Congress tickets now. It's coming up really fast. It's an unforgettable Kabbalah experience, really, that you don't want to miss. New students will be offered a discount, so please register for the Congress. Next semester, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook and you want to sign up to the course, you can also see the links in the chat. And I'd also like to echo Tony's sentiments. Wonderful to be with you tonight. Beautiful questions, and always a pleasure to be with you, Tony. Thank you for having
Likewise.
me.
Thanks, friends.
I don't believe in myself, but I believe in you. I'm falling into myself, but I wanna draw to you. 'Cause when we can stand together above our frozen hearts, I believe the light will
Welcome.
I don't believe in myself, but I believe in you. I'm falling into myself, but I wanna draw to you. 'Cause when we can stand together above our frozen hearts, I believe the light will come and we won't stay apart. Seems like I lost my wings, but you made me fly. And if I stop breathing, with you I'll stay alive. When we can stand together above our frozen hearts, I'm sure the light will come and make things right. We are the parts of the one-man body. We are the soldiers of the light. We're gonna break these walls together and let the love free our minds. We're gonna burn like fire, fire in the one desire. Love is stronger than the dark side of life. Higher, higher with the one desire. 'Cause in the end there's nothing else besides light.